In feudal society, father was king of the household, lord of the family. In agrarian society, he was a mentor, teaching the skills that were necessary to run the farm. In industrial society, he was the provider, absent from the home in order to support the family. What is the model of the modern-day father? What is expected of the role? Society is experiencing an increase in unwed mothers, absent fathers, and divorce. Have fathers been relegated to the role of sperm donors? At the same time, we see men being more interested in their role as nurturers. The media likes to use terms like deadbeat dad, reducing a man to the check that he does or does not send. Men resent being treated as success objects just as much as women resent being sex objects. The religious right rings the alarm bells of declining family and tries to reinstate the patriarchy and the failed systems of the past. Indeed, there has been research that suggests that children growing up without their father experience difficulties. A study by the University of California, Cindy Harper, and Princeton, Sarah McClanahan, records more than 6,400 boys were studied over a period of approximately 20 years of their development, and controlled for family background, variables such as mother's education level, race, family income, and number of siblings, as well as the neighborhood variables like proportion of female-headed families in the neighborhood, unemployment rates, median income. Boys raised outside intact marriages are on average more than twice as likely as other boys to end up jailed, even after controlling for other demographic factors. Each year spent without a dad in the home increases the odds of the future incarceration by about 5%. Studies like these have prompted many legislatures to propose or enact laws that promote marriage and make divorce more difficult. But this research really only shows a correlation between fatherlessness and developmental problems. Causation is probably more likely to be in the high level of between parents before and after divorce. That a more appropriate study would be to compare families that are single families, mothers, head of household families after a divorce, and intact families that are in conflict. Because the children in intact families with high level of conflicts have the same problems that families do where the father isn't present. And even as much as people have complained about the decline of the family, during the 90s it seemed that the lot of children overall had improved. According to a new collaborative report from federal agencies, America's Children 1999 shows that youth are less likely to smoke, to die, or be victimized by crime. Among the report's most positive results is a 40% drop in serious violent crime involving juveniles since 1993. Some indicators of child well-being have gone down, but others have gone up. So the debate rages on. What is the importance of fathers? They are not unimportant, yet they are not all important. A return to the days when women and children were the property of the father is not where we can go. one could argue that the good old days were not always so good. But what do we have to offer in the vacuum left by a crumbling patriarchy? Is there a model of fatherhood that supports the women and the children related to the father, that allows a man to share emotional, financial, and spiritual support? While many studies show that men have a desire to be active in the lives of their children, we still have a ways to go. Mothers with one or more children, age 5 or older, spend an average of 6 hours a week on child care. Fathers average 2. Mothers with one or more children under 5 spend on average 17 hours a week, and fathers average 5. But 24% of married females and 51% of married males say that they and their spouses take care of the children an equal amount. The need for our participation is even greater than it was in the past. The former division of labor and with father bringing home the bacon and mother cooking it no longer applies. The majority of family households now have both parents working. And even if the wages of working mothers lag behind working fathers, they are still putting in the hours away from home and children. Fatherhood has many dimensions. And then rather than look at fatherhood as a whole, because it is so complex, within this room, I'm sure there are many positive and many negative associations with your own father and the fathers that you've observed, and even the father that you have been. So rather than make a great category that is father, I'd like to look at some of the aspects of fathering. And the first role is actually called fathering, as in he fathered 17 children. This is also called siring. This is what's meant by the Bible when Abraham begat Isaac, who begat Jacob, who begat Joseph. This is the biological process. With modern technology, men no longer even need to be present at conception, although I hear many men still prefer traditional methods. This is the narrowest definition of fatherhood. It does not require any nurturing of the child. It has nothing to do with parenting. Men who are unable to be biological fathers are able to participate in the most important aspects of fatherhood. Many men can become fathers, but it takes someone special to be a daddy. Daddy is present. Daddy is intimate. Daddy loves and is loved. Fatherhood is often accidental. Being a daddy is intentional. Another aspect of being a father is being in control. Traditionally, this has been done by brute force and denying legal rights to women and children, and controlling the inheritance. The father was king of the castle, ruler of the roost, lord of the manor. This is a model of fatherhood that I hope gets discarded, but is precisely what anti-feminists resist. They blame feminism for the so-called decline of the family. But if this model of family was so great, why did it need so much coercion to uphold it? Be good or your father will hit you. You can't earn a living without me. You do as I say, or you'll lose your inheritance. These are all coercive power grabs. They may give men a sense of control, but it is a false control. The father is feared instead of respected. He is heard, but not really listened to. He may be obeyed, but with resentment. He is flattered, but not loved. We must redefine control in order to make fatherhood viable. Because I said so is no longer a valid reason. Live for the real reasons. Communicate those real reasons to your children. We want our kids to eat and sleep because we want them to grow healthy, not because I said so. We send our kids to school so someday they may learn more than us and not just do things because some authority says so. We need a model of control that is reciprocal. And setting an example is the best form of control. If we eat right, exercise, and go to bed on time, our kids are more likely to. If we are curious and interested in what they are learning, they will be also. If we want them to learn to yell and whine, we should yell and whine at them until we get our way. Hitting teaches them that violence is a solution. If we want our children to be better, we have to be better ourselves. If we must control ourselves if we want our children to have self-control. Self-discipline is the first form of discipline. To get respect, we must respect our children and ourselves be respectable. We teach our children to listen by listening to them. Cooperation is more important than obedience. Love is better than being feared. The agrarian role of mentor is still available to fathers, though many of us cannot milk a cow or fix a tractor. We do have knowledge that our children need. And those of us fortunate enough to be in a partnership know that our partner often knows things that we do not. And we can share in the learning from our partner with the child and give an example of listening and hearing and learning something new. And there are many things that you can do outside the home. Taking a class with your child lets them see how learning is a never-ending process, and it's not something that's imposed on them. It is truly one of the great joys in life. There's little that is sex-specific about being a mentor. Women can be soccer coaches. Men can teach cooking. All parents, whether single or in couples, need to be on the lookout for other adults who can contribute to your child's well-being. Nurturer. This is traditionally a female role that more and more men are trying out and realizing that they're good at it. Children feel safe when they are held by any parent. Look for opportunities to express love to your child, whether they be young or adult. Verbally, non-verbally, be tender when they scrape their knee or have a consequence, even if it's a consequence of something you forbid them to do. It is not a parent's job to add the insult to injury. Children, especially young children, need a lot of care. From cleaning to feeding to dressing, they need to be read to. All this is nurture. This is the part of parenting that is often messy. From the first diaper onward, your kids will need your help. You hold things in your hand that you might have never imagined. Humans are unique in that they have the longest childhood. They need parenting for a long time, sometimes even after they're grown. They also need a defender, an advocate. While men are seldom called upon to chase bears away from the cave, we are still called to look out for our child's best interests. And then there's the role of provider. We are no longer expected to be the sole provider, and we should welcome this sharing of responsibility. A man of quality is not threatened by a woman seeking equality. Economic necessity has made dual careers almost a given. In the past 20 years, women's earning powers has increased while men's have stayed stagnant and decreased slightly. Money issues often threaten a marriage, and they often remain an issue if the couple divorces. Men must work to show that the relationship to their children means more than money. Invest in their hearts as well as their bank accounts. The time goes by so quickly. I barely believe that my son is 10, soon he'll be 20, then 40. What will his childhood memories be? The reading from Antoine Saint-Exupéry said, "Let us build memories in our children, lest they drag out joyless lives, lest they allow the treasures to be lost because they have not been given the keys. We live not by things, but by the meaning of things. It is needful to transmit the passwords from generation to generation." I hope my son will remember the swimming pool as fondly as I remember shooting pool with my dad. I hope he'll remember barbecues and beating me at Nintendo. I hope he remembers the pride we feel when we rarely and occasionally clean the house together. There will be bad memories. I hope he can learn from the mistakes I have made and will make. And maybe, if he chooses, become a better father than I have been. What does fatherhood mean to you? What ways have you found to help a child? Parents, non-parents, mothers and fathers, all of us have a chance to make a difference in the life of a child. I ask you now, how do you celebrate Father's Day?
I'm going to say something. The Lord minister, yesterday, did not have time to play with his son because he was writing a sermon. And he even mentioned, here I am, pontificating about fatherhood, and I'm not even present for bed today. But I want you to know, having raised two children without a dad, I really appreciate your input, sir.
Universalist in Melrose, Massachusetts. And his father, my grandfather, was a Universalist in Lynn, Massachusetts. And my father was granted over 300 patents in the United States. And one of them was the candle that burns at both ends that we light every Sunday.
Thank you, sir. Guys that are avoiding fatherhood sometimes have their reasons. Yet guys that have kids and completely avoid contact with kids have a real difficulty in understanding, because I find the kids to be a lot of fun and fascinating, and they keep us here.
I think it's good to keep mindful of on days like today that celebrate all that is good, that many people have had difficult relationships, either being a father or being a child, and that it's just, while we hold up the ideals, we also must have compassion for all those other people, or even ourselves.
But you always understand that no matter how many mean jackasses you meet in the male form, that men are capable of being really kind.
Today, I'm here with my father, who always worked so hard, even doing things he didn't like to do, so that we had 4 kids in my family. And there was always enough, and it was a lot because he worked so hard. My husband is just the best dad. And last week I had such a hard day with Kayla, I called him up, I said, "You have to come home right now." And he did. And also, my friend Karen, who is a single mom, and she lives with our friends Betsy and Amy, who are partners, and this is kind of Betsy's first Father's Day, and I want to celebrate her. Her first Father's Day.
I'd like to say a word about a rare breed. It's not rare anymore, stepfathers. You know, I think sometimes they deserve a little extra credit. They get a hard job sometimes. I know a man who married a widow. I think her age can go unnamed. Her son happens to be 24. He before he married her because his son was alone, and he married her. The son was floundering, going this way, that way, couldn't get his life together. And this man, through encouragement, love, and a push here and there, some showing, helped this kid turn his life around. And the mother is profoundly grateful.
Henry.
In thinking about the role of father with mother and child, I haven't heard any comments so far, so I'll make my own, that in the home that we developed with our child, the mother was seriously ill with psychiatric and psychological problems. And so it's a different role for the father, something like that. It went off all right, as far as we know. But it's something that really is more common today, I think, in our society than it was
it's a lot more difficult.